Thank you for your practice. That's funny. I don't think I've ever actually worn shorts on a Monday. I picked the one Monday where the air conditioner's not working. It all worked out. I was like, I don't feel like going home and changing right now. I'm just going to wear my gym shorts. It'll be okay. So, it's some weird stuff with that submarine thing, huh? I felt, as much as I dislike the idea of hoarding wealth, my heart hurt. Like physically, I felt pain when I first heard about those people being trapped down there, or that was the assumption that they were potentially trapped. Obviously, that is not what happened. And if anything, hopefully they went very quickly. I imagine that they did in that scenario. But and the reason I bring that up is because the idea of hoarding wealth in general is just kind of foreign to me. And that kind of brings me to the topic tonight. Is one of the most powerful practices that we can undertake in this path is the act of letting go. Letting go of greed, letting go of hatred, letting go of confusion, and coming to a place of wisdom. And so tonight I want to talk about the first of the 10 paramis, which is dana, or generosity. And I'd like to talk about what dana is, what the Buddha said about giving, offer some personal reflections, and talk about why the act of generosity is invaluable to this practice and to our mental health in general. So, dana is not just an act of an act of charity. It's a transformative practice that can bring immense joy, abundance, and spiritual growth. And the Buddha said that the fragrance of flowers spreads only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all directions. It's a nice quote. I like that quote. It's really true. So what is dana? As I said, dana is a Pali word that means generosity. But it's the innate generosity of our spirit. It's the recognition that we are all interconnected in the fabric of existence. We can really touch a lot of people if we want to. We can, and I don't mean that in like a dirty way, but we can touch a lot of people's lives. And the act of giving and the act of kindness, it doesn't just have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be materials and services. It's just simply just giving the act of time can be a massive thing for people. Just knowing that someone cares and is willing to give space for you to share is a huge act of generosity. Oh, that's really generous. As you've heard me talk about a million times, we're pack animals. That's the reason we're all here, is because we rely on each other for survival. We would have never made it this far as a species had we not been able to work together. But in America, the idea of individualism is pushed pretty dramatically and pretty hard. It's this idea that we're supposed to go it alone and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, as if that was even possible. Incidentally, you cannot pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. It is a physical impossibility. I mean, we're coming up on July 4th, and it's our national holiday, right? It's our country's birthday. It's Independence Day. Independence from Britain. We have this idea of independence pushed on us so much. But really, if we really look at existence, we are entirely interdependent. We exist because of a long chain of events. The food that we get at the store, if you really play the tape backwards, you can go into the beginning of time playing the tape backwards, but it's this act of interdependence and this act of working together that we still need to exist. So we can run around and act like we're independent all we want, but at the end of the day, that's not really the case. We do rely on each other. We do rely on each other for help. And so we're pushed this idea of individualism and independence, but it's in our nature, as I said, to work together. So we have these mixed signals. We're pushed this idea of independence, but Have you ever really tried to do something on your own? It's pretty difficult. And I'm finding that out more and more, just with the ins and outs and all the admin stuff that I have to do with this group. Like I was talking about before we started the website. Like I'm not a web developer, and I have to transfer it from this to this and get this sorted out. And I have no idea how to do that. I need help with that. And it was for the longest time I had a problem asking for help. I was very much into isolating myself, and I had this great idea that I could just do everything by myself. And the more I grow and the more time passes, the more I realize that's bullshit. Like I really do need help. I can't do everything on my own. As much as I would like to, sometimes I can't do everything on my own. I can even look back in my past when I was playing music. I used to play in bands for most of my youth, and then at one point, one of the bands I was in, we were actually about to be signed to a record deal, and then the band ended up falling apart, and it was pretty heartbreaking for me. So I decided from that point on, I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to do it myself. I'll do everything on my own. And I did that for a while. I did it for several years, actually, and was very successful doing that. But more and more lately, I find myself wanting to play music again, and I don't want to do it by myself. I want to play with people, because that's where the fun's at. Like, that's the fun, is just sharing that experience with others. And there's this certain feeling you get when you're playing music with other people, and everything just syncs up perfect, and it sounds amazing, and you're like, we did that together, and it's so good. You just don't get that by yourself. You just don't get that. So as I said, as more time passes, I find myself being drawn to community and to being with others and helping others. And in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha emphasizes the significance of generosity by stating, even if a person throws the rinsings of a bowl or a cup into a village pool or pond, thinking, may whatever animals live here feed on this, that would be a source of merit, to say nothing of what is given to human beings. So an act of generosity can be small. It doesn't have to be some grand thing. We don't have to fork over our entire life savings to help someone. As I said, just showing that we care, showing that we're there for each other. Volunteering in whatever capacity. I know some of you do a lot of volunteer work. I volunteer for a nonprofit that puts on meditation retreats, and we just barely break even. Like, it's hard to even keep the nonprofit going because we keep the costs so low that we're not really generating any money. All of the money that the nonprofit generates, much like Gulf Coast Dharma, comes from donations. Sometimes it's questionable whether things can continue in that way. So like I said, these acts of generosity don't have to be large. They can be very small. I grew up here in Pensacola, so I was raised in the deep South. I grew up in the 80s in good old boy territory. But Southern hospitality was always this like deeply instilled thing in me. I grew up holding doors for people. I grew up saying yes ma'am, no ma'am, all that stuff. I let people out in traffic. Ooh, what a crazy idea that is, right? I do everything that I can to be as generous of a person as I can. Because even if it's a small act, that simple act could be the thing that just reinstills someone's hope in humanity. I know it has for me. Even if it is just being let out in traffic sometimes, like that can be enough to be like, there are still decent people in this world. Because sometimes I wonder. And the Buddha said that generosity is the first door that we walk through if we're serious about our spiritual path, because it requires this quality of letting go and this relinquishment of attachment. And by giving, we become less self-absorbed and we break the habit of clinging. And so giving itself is an act of letting go. As I said, Dana is the first of the 10 paramis, or the 10 perfections, that we're asked to master on our path to awakening. The others are moral conduct, or sila, renunciation, wisdom, energy, patience, truthfulness, determination, loving kindness, and equanimity. So there's kind of almost a parallel between the Eightfold Path and the 10 Paramis. If you really put them side by side, if you're doing one, it's more often than not you're going to be undertaking the other. At the core of the Buddhist teachings, we find a profound emphasis on the practice of generosity as a means to cultivate wholesome qualities and purify the mind. It's a way of developing in this practice what is known as merit. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha proclaims, better than ruling over the whole universe is to become the master of oneself through self-control. So generosity is the key that unlocks this self-control. It enables us to break the bonds of attachment and to nurture a compassionate heart. And true happiness can arise from giving without the expectation of anything in return. That's the purest form of giving, is when there is no expectation of return, there is no desired outcome in regards to giving. It's just in the act of the good deed itself. As a lot of you have heard me talk about in group several times, I remodeled a house for 14 months I spent remodeling a house with no expectation of anything in return. And I did it because I care. I did it as an act of love. My partner and her children needed a place to live, and this was what was available, and this was what was going to work out. So, and at times it was a sacrifice, and at times I gave more than I should have. And so we got to be careful of that. We want to be generous, but we don't want to be generous to the point where it hurts ourselves. And there's a fine line there. And sometimes that line gets very blurred. And it can be really hard to see. Because while I want other people to be happy, and I want other people to be content, and I want them to be okay, it's not my responsibility to make sure that they are. When we talk about independence or interdependence, we hear, we're rooting from the word dependence, and anytime the word dependence is used, I feel like people are like, whoa, you shouldn't be dependent on anybody. But that's not necessarily true. Right? We can't control other people's happiness, but it's okay to have some level of dependence on others. If you have a job, then you're in a dependent relationship. They depend on you to show up and do your job, and you depend on them to give you a paycheck for doing it. But does that make it codependent? No, it doesn't. It's just dependence. And we are a dependent species. I rely on all of you every Monday. If it wasn't for you, I depend on you to show up. Otherwise, I'd just be talking to myself. And that'd be a weird Dharma talk. Joseph Goldstein says that we discover that letting go is not an act of deprivation, but an act of abundance. We realize we are not losing, but gaining freedom, contentment, and love. And that's really true. There's contentment, and there's just this joy that just comes from giving and being generous in whatever capacity it is that you're giving. I'm in recovery, as you all know, and service work has just been a huge part of my recovery. Perhaps the biggest part of my recovery. It's because you guys depend on me to be here on Mondays that helps keep my shit straight a lot of the time. Not that I want to go out and use, but it keeps me focused. It keeps me in my practice. It keeps me active in the community. And so, as I said, we have a mutual dependence here. Jack Kornfield reminds us that generosity extends far beyond material possessions, and it encompasses our time, as I've said, energy, and compassionate presence. He said that generosity is a blessing, a medicine, an antidote to grasping, and a path to freedom. It blesses both the giver and receiver. So when we're cultivating this spirit of giving, this spirit of generosity, we can embrace an attitude of abundance rather than scarcity. We can recognize the inherent riches in our own lives, love, wisdom, and joy, And we can generously share these with everyone. Metta is often translated as loving kindness. And as you've probably heard me say, like, I don't really care for that as a translation, because I can't love everyone the same way, but I can be kind to everybody. Even those that aren't kind to me, I can be kind to. And that's what this path for me is about, is a way to be kind to all beings, even the ones that aren't kind to me. We start with them. We start with the ones that are the worst to us and give them our kindness. Because it can just be, as I said, that little act. It helps shift someone's perspective and shift someone's mindset. Giving freely helps us to release attachments to outcomes and expectations. So when we give without clinging to notions or recognition or reward, we embrace the purity of giving without strings attached. And that's the way it should be, right? If we're giving, ultimately we should give without any expectation of something in return. I mean, unless you're, exchanging money for services, right? And then you should probably expect what you paid for. But if we're giving just to give, there should be no desired outcome. In my own journey on this path, I've come to realize the transformational power of generosity myself. I can recall times earlier in my life when I hesitated to extend a helping hand to people. I was wrapped up in my own thing. I had my own thing going on. I couldn't be bothered with that at the moment. I couldn't give my time. I couldn't share my resources, and that was due to a fear of, or a sense of scarcity and lack. And as I said, as I've gotten deeper into this practice, though, I've discovered the immense freedom that can come from letting go and giving wholeheartedly without the expectation of anything in return. One of the most powerful teachings that resonated for me was the story of a monk who had nothing but his bowl and a robe, right? And despite his apparent lack of possessions, he radiated this profound sense of contentment and inner peace. And just, observing his unwavering joy and generosity, it reminded me that true wealth lies not in the accumulation of material possessions, but in the heart. And so, as I said, I learned to shift my perspective on giving, entirely. So I was brought up in a very, I'd say lower class, upper, lower class upbringing. So there was scarcity. And when you grow up around that, it leaves a mark. It does leave a mark. Like, there's not enough to go around. There's been several times in my life where I wondered where my next meal was coming from. But rather than viewing giving as a loss or a deprivation, I began to see it as an act of abundance, right? It's an opportunity to share the blessings that life has bestowed upon me. Because I am blessed in many ways. I still don't have a lot of money, but I'm blessed in many ways. I've got really good friends. And at least these days, I don't have to worry where my next meal is coming from. Not so much. Just by embracing this new understanding, that I discovered this sense of liberation that comes from letting go, right? When we have nothing, and I've been there several times. I've lost everything I've owned numerous times through my addiction in the past. But it's when we have nothing that we have everything, because then the possibilities are endless. We don't have anything tying us down. Again, I was Jack Cornfield that really helped deepen my understanding of Dharma. His words kind of echoed in my mind, just reminding me that generosity extends far beyond material offerings. As I said, it encompasses the gift of our time, of our presence, of our compassion, of our care, of our kindness. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to overlook the power of a kind word, or a listening ear, or just a smile. These things are so often overlooked. They're so profound. These small acts of generosity can have a rather large impact on others. We can brighten someone's day just with a kind word. And if their life is anything like mine, then more than likely they're going through some shit right now. Because aren't we all? Isn't everybody in a constant battle? And that's one of the reasons I started this Sangha. It was an act of giving back to my community. I saw something that was lacking in this community, and I tried to fill that void. And I still tried to fill that void. That's why I show up here every Monday. It's to share these teachings with anybody who wants to hear them. There was no place that you could go and hear a Dharma talk in this town until March of last year. And I put quite a bit of time each week into writing these talks. And I show up here every Monday and set everything up and spend time giving the talk and guiding meditations and breaking everything down. And I do it not for money. I do it out of love. I do it out of love for my community. I do it out of love for my fellow man. Because, as I said, there was nothing even close to this here. You could find a church on every block, but this is something that was pretty difficult to find. The closest thing to what we do here is in Nashville. Like I said, I do it out of love. I do it because, honestly, I do it for rather selfish reasons. I do it because it feels good. These Monday nights are possibly one of the most fulfilling things in my life. I get high off of this. I get high off of being of service. And while there is a recommended donation, as you all know, I don't ever charge. There's no pay at the door, you can't be here. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. And the people that need these teachings the most are generally the people who don't have the money. So I will never charge a set fee, ever. It just will never be a thing. This will always be a donation-based thing. Because giving really is transformative. I've watched it transform my life entirely. Like I said, a lot of my recovery is really based on service and just the effects that it has are profound. But that's not to say that I don't still get caught up in outcomes sometimes. There's still a level of frustration that I experience when things don't work in my favor. The website, for example, not working in my favor. There is a desired outcome there. It's getting a working website. But I can always still, when that frustration arises, I can always use generosity as an antidote. So, as I said, I get to come here on Mondays and see my friends and my family, and it makes me feel better. So rather than living in a sense of lack, the act of giving is really just this joyous celebration of this interdependence and this interconnectedness that we all share. It's a reminder that, that we are all connected, and that our actions, when we're gone, our actions will continue to ripple on through the fabric of time forever. It's really all that we leave behind is our actions. And there's so much to be gained from giving, right? Like, enhanced self-esteem, for sure. Engaging in acts of generosity can boost self-esteem and self-worth. I know it did for me. I used to hate myself, for no good reason. I had plenty of stories that I would tell myself about why I did, but at the core, looking back, there was no really good reason. Mistakes. not knowing better at the time. Giving can also reduce stress and anxiety. Because when we're focused on helping others, we shift our attention away from the self-referential thought. We break ourselves out of the default mode network when we're not so focused on ourselves. It can also improve our social connections, right? When we come to community and we help others, generosity often involves engaging with other people. So whether it's through volunteering or donating or just simply being supportive, these interactions foster a sense of belonging and connectedness. And they can give us a sense of purpose and meaning, right? And I derive a lot of my sense of purpose and my meaning from this practice and from doing groups like this. It really is what my life is focused on. Like if I had to say what's the meaning of life, it would be to spread the Dharma. That's my meaning. And it's going to be different for all of you, right? We all have different meanings because we create our own meaning. There is no meaning to life. It's for you to figure out, and that's kind of the joke of it all. That's the cosmic joke, is like you have to figure out your own meaning. And as I said earlier, generosity can also it promotes our well-being. It feels good to give. It feels good to help people. It feels good seeing other people happy. And while their happiness is not our responsibility, it is nice if we can help, right? But as I said earlier, it is important that our generosity be practiced in a balanced way and that we don't give too much of ourselves. Because it's really easy to overextend ourselves and to make commitments that ultimately will cause ourselves to suffer. And I know that from experience. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop giving, right? It just means I'm going to give a little more wisely in the future. Not commit myself to such big things. Or just find smarter ways to go about doing it. Let's all just embrace this first parami of generosity, this perfection of generosity, and try to just be of service, and give in whatever way we can. That's what I'm going to do. So I hope that has given some insight into what Dana is. I gave some quotes about what the Buddha had to say about it, shared some of my own personal reflections. And I've talked about why it's pretty invaluable to this practice and to life itself. Right? We are a social species, so let's help each other out. And we'll move into a meditation. And I think we're going to do a Metta meditation. It seems appropriate for this time. So again, just finding a position that's comfortable. When we're doing Brahma Vihara practice, posture is not such an important thing. It's really just whatever's going to be supportive for you in this moment. So we're going to do a Metta meditation on the practice of kind friendliness. Metta is often offered as the antidote for hatred, the antidote for fear. So just allowing our eyes to close as we bring our awareness inward. And the meditation will begin and end with a bell. So again, just checking in with the sitting body. Just allowing our body to relax as we bring a sense of ease to the entire corporeal structure. Starting at the top of the head, just scanning downward as we relax the muscles of the brow and soften the eyes and soften the muscles in the face. Unclenching the jaw and relaxing the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And softening through the back and the abdomen. And relaxing the arms as we just let our hands rest gently in the lap or on our legs. Soften through the legs and into the feet. And now I want you to bring your attention and your awareness to the heart space, and to the heart itself, to the emotional core of the body. Just establishing a connection between the mind and the heart. And imagine yourself breathing in and out of the heart. Imagine that the heart is on fire. And with each breath, this fire grows. Establishing this warmth, this cool warmth of Metta. Now I invite you to bring to mind a benefactor. Someone that's been particularly kind to you. This can be a good friend, a teacher, a mentor, even a pet. It's someone that it's easy to feel this feeling of kindness and friendliness towards. Once you've got this person in your mind, begin offering the phrase, "May you be at ease." Just silently repeating to yourself, "May you be at ease." Seeing how that phrase lands for you. May you be at ease. Now just trying on the phrase, may you be at peace. May you be at peace. May you be at peace. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. And finally offering the phrase, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. Just keeping this benefactor in mind, this kind person, as we offer them all of the phrases. May you be at ease. May you be at peace. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at ease. May you be at peace. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. And may you be filled with loving kindness. Just keeping this person in the mind's eye as you offer them these phrases. May you be at ease. May you be at peace. May you be kind and gentle with yourself. And may you be filled with loving kindness. Letting this person fall away from the mind. I'd like you to begin offering yourself these phrases. May I be at ease. May I be at peace. May I be kind and gentle with myself. May I be filled with loving kindness. Just silently repeating these phrases to yourself, inclining the mind towards this sense of ease and peace, towards this sense of loving kindness towards yourself. May I be at ease. May I be at peace. May I be kind and gentle with myself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be at ease. May I be at peace. May I be kind and gentle with myself. May I be filled with loving kindness. Now letting yourself all the way from the mind. I invite you to bring to mind a neutral person. This can be someone that you see regularly but you don't know very well. Perhaps someone you work with. Perhaps someone in the store that you frequent. Perhaps someone in this room. Just bringing this person into mind. Begin offering them these same phrases. May they be at ease. May they be at peace. May they be kind and gentle with themselves. May they be filled with loving kindness. Recognizing that even those that we don't know very well are all deserving of kindness. All deserving of love and generosity. May they be at ease. May they be at peace. May they be kind and gentle with themselves. May they be filled with loving kindness. keeping our connection with the heart as we continue to offer these phrases. Now letting this neutral person fall away from the mind, I invite you to bring to mind a difficult person. Someone that you may have had a disagreement with. Someone that's not always the easiest to get along with. Maybe not the most difficult person. I'm going to start small with this practice and work our way up. Starting with a mildly difficult person and working our way into the most difficult people. With the intention of this meditation, just someone that you may not see eye to eye with all the time. And begin offering them the phrases. May they be at ease. May they be at peace. May they be kind and gentle with themselves. May they be filled with loving kindness. Even the difficult people deserve love. Even the difficult people deserve kindness. So just offering them these phrases over and over. May they be at ease. May they be at peace. May they be kind and gentle with themselves. And may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be at ease. May they be at peace. May they be kind and gentle with themselves. And may they be filled with loving kindness. Now letting this difficult person fall away from the mind. I invite you to expand your awareness and your intention outward to incorporate all the beings in this room, all the beings in this town, in this state, in this country, all the beings in the world, all the beings in this universe. Extending this kindness outward in all directions, radiating outward to all beings. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be kind and gentle with themselves. And may all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be kind and gentle with themselves. And may all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be kind and gentle with themselves. And may all beings be filled with loving kindness. Radiating kindness outward in all directions. Without any expectation of return. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be kind and gentle with themselves. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. Dropping all of the phrases, I'd like you to just focus on the heart center. Maybe placing a hand over the heart, just feeling the connection. Again, just imagining yourself breathing in and out from the heart. And I'll ring the bell to end the meditation. Thank you all for your practice.